nalipa tax na hata siwezi afford kupanda taxi. Kwa banki sina kakitu, siwezi afford hata shati. Maji nanywa ya kanjo yako ya chupa za mapambo. Nalipia mtoto wako elimu ya bure ya juu. Unanipa ya bure lakini ya utu. Oh no. So nitapata wapi majibu ya maswali? Mahindi lienda wapi? Pia shilingi ya shule za msingi. Paulo mtume, mbona jela usimtume? Lazima abuniwe tume. Lazima abuniwe tume. Mapenzi ndizo hali mabasa tulificha kwa kabati. Kazi kwa vijana, pesa kwa wazee. Tulimangamanga mpaka za maded aise. Lazima abuniwe tume. Lazima abuniwe tume. Oh. Sheria. Oh. Sheria. Sheria. Fuata. Sheria. Sheria. Oh, oh. Sheria. Yeah, yeah. Fuata. Sheria. 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 Oh, oh. Fuata. Sheria. Sheria. Pia wewe mwananchi, tabia zako ziko chini. Unapenda kulipa hongo na kutumia njia za uongo. Una mipango na hata watoto wa kando. Haujui hata majina yao. Kura yako uliuza ni figo ukakula. Mwananchi, tabia zako ziko chini. Unapenda kulipa hongo na kutumia njia za uongo. Una mipango na hata watoto wa kando. Haujui hata majina yao. Kura yako uliuza maini figo ukakulia hadi dini. Kisha wasema tukuthamini, na wewe hapo hauaminiki. Na wewe hapo haupangiki.
Wapi kidero wa when you need to slap somebody. Complain ufisadi kwani ulidhani t-shirt 50 bob leso siku ya campaign ilikuwa free. Ni 5 year loan investment utalipa kingia parliament. We are one, amani we are one. Na utumishi kwa wote, utu missing CCTV we were watching. Racial insecurity na job opportunity ni kama mti ya kibiriti. Side moja heavy, usiniambie Kenya kuna umaskini. Kwani hizi fat fingers zinaibia nane? Maskando inatuletea na survival. Media define leadership. Na sura ukiaka front page na improve readership. Ambia wase wa Twitter wa hashtag hii ama hash reality doesn't make a good TT. Commission of inquiry wanakula commission bila kutupa ukweli. Ni kubaya baka kukiwa kuzuri unashindwa nini mbaya. Machozi ya perpetrator ineza dilute damu ya victim ilimwagika. After all is said and done, all will be said, nothing will be done. You're not my tribe, but you're my blood type. Like it doesn't have to take tragedy to know that.
Sheria.
Good evening. It is Monday, the 14th of April, and this is Sheria Dive with me right here on Power Radio. My name is James WaNjeri. Thank you so much for making time to join us on Sheria Dive. This is a show where we talk legal matters, and today it's coming in hot. We're talking about divorce. That's the D that no one wants to talk about, you know? And as I always say for this Monday show, you're coming in for the jazz and you're staying for the law. And have you ever thought to yourself, how do marriages end? Well, perhaps we could start by talking about they're not talking to each other, they're not doing things for each other, they're ignoring each other, you know, such things. Or maybe one day you just discover, oh my God, I got into this with the wrong person. Or sometimes it could be for dangerous things like violence, where you've been a victim of violence within the marriage relationship. And also, you have to ask yourself, is this a marriage that can be dissolved? Or you're not, whatever you're in is not actually a marriage. Cannot call it a marriage. Well, that's what we're talking about today. We're talking about divorce and what are the requirements in Kenya for a divorce to be granted? What are the grounds that you need to look at when you're thinking of divorce or you're considering divorce? And what will the court be looking at? Now, let me start by saying that on Sheria Dive, we celebrate love and marriage. So this is that information you need for just in case, but you pray that you never ever need to use this information. But you know what? Probably someone needs to hear about this, so why don't you share that link with them? I'll be looking out at the comment section on our YouTube live. I'll be looking at that just to see if you have any questions, and I'm going to be dealing with that. But of course, we're also live on Twitter, so if you're watching this on Twitter, asante sana for joining us. Please let me know what song you'd like me to play for you, especially if it's your first time listening to this show. And I'm going to do that for you. But of course, from us here, it's we have an hour together. Let's make it count. And today, as we said, we're trying out this thing where we'll be playing jazz on Mondays. How much jazz can you actually listen to? Kama ina bo, mniambie ina bo. Sawa? Divorce me from the jazz. That's what I'm asking from you. So, here we go with our first jazz song of this evening show. And then when we come back, we hit it off as we talk about divorce in Kenya. Let's go.
Power Radio. Tune in and power up. Your kind of music, all day, all night, right here on your only station, Power Radio.
Yeah. Now let me tell you, we've had two songs there following each other. The first was Sherehe, and the second was Chakadab or Shakadab. This is by Hornsphere. Hornsphere is a group of four horn players. Danson Rabuka, who plays the trumpet, Eric Kimaru, who plays the alto saxophone, Denilson Ocheng, who plays the tenor saxophone, and Peter Kingori, who plays the soprano saxophone. And that is their latest album. You can check them out online. They're called Hornsphere, Hornsphere. Fantastic group. Four young men bringing Kenyan jazz. That's the sound of Kenyan jazz. I don't know when you say jazz, maybe you're waiting to hear some interesting things. Well, I hope this is as interesting because this is the sound of Kenya. This is jazz, Kenyan style. And of course, ladies and gentlemen, today we're talking about divorce. But you can't talk about divorce without talking about getting married. Now, Kenya's constitution at Article 45 provides for the recognition of the family as a basic, natural, and fundamental unit of society. Okay, and marriage is recognized and protected by the state. So as a result of this, we have in Kenya what we call the Marriage Act 2014. And in this Marriage Act, marriage is defined as a voluntary union of a man and a woman, whether in a monogamous or polygamous union, and registered under this act. So There are a few things you need to highlight here. Number one is that marriage has to be voluntary. You cannot be forced into a marriage. You have to say yes. Okay? Number two, it is a union. So it's a coming together of a man and a woman. So what does this mean? You have to be 18 years and above to be married in Kenya. Number two, you must be in an opposite sex relationship. Kenya does not recognize same-sex marriages or same-sex relationships. All right? And then, in addition to that, in Kenya, you can either be in a monogamous union, which means it's just you and your partner, or in a polygamous union. And polygamous means it's a man and many women. Okay? So a man has many wives. There's also a requirement under the Marriage Act for those marriages to be registered. This question of registration has brought a lot of issues, but I'm not going to be touching on that today. We might not finish with the amount of time we have for this show. But of course, we have 5 types of marriages or 5 systems of marriages that are recognized in Kenya. The first one is a civil marriage. And the civil marriage is where you go to the AG or to the Attorney General's office and you get married and they give you a certificate. Okay? The second one is a Christian marriage. This means that you're married by a Christian minister, a pastor. So the marriage happens whether it's a garden wedding or it's a church wedding, but it is done according to Christian belief. The other one is a Hindu marriage. And a Hindu marriage is done according to Hindu customs and beliefs. All right? Then the fourth type of marriage is what we call a customary marriage. And the customary marriage is a marriage where you are married under the customs of your tribes, okay, your community. And for this, you have to show that there was a ceremony, there was an exchange of the bride price or the dowry, okay, and the two families came together. So that's what we talk about when we talk about customary marriage. And finally, we have Islamic marriages. And Islamic marriages are those that are conducted under Islamic law and an Islamic religious system. So we only have 5 systems of marriage in Kenya. Now, you have been married. But the law, while the law wants you to be married, the law must also consider the reality that you could be unmarried. So, under Section 65 of the Marriage Act, it provides for grounds for dissolution of a marriage. And in this case, we'll talk about grounds of dissolution of a Christian marriage. Okay? Now, a party to a marriage may petition the court for a decree for dissolution of marriage. And this would be the ground. So, those who are registered under Christian marriage, okay, you're registered perhaps as well under civil marriage, you petition the court for dissolution of that marriage. You cannot dissolve the marriage by agreeing ati tumeelewana tuachane. That does not work in Kenya. So the petition must be filed in court and then the court dissolves the marriage. Today we're talking about divorce. What are the grounds for divorce? Number 1 is one or more acts of adultery committed by the other party. So when there's adultery, and basically when we talk about adultery, we're talking about the fact that one of the parties in the marriage is involved in a sexual relationship with another person who is not their spouse. Okay? When that happens, then that is called adultery and it becomes a ground for dissolving that marriage. And the other party can be the one to go and say, I want to dissolve this marriage. Now, it's important to note as well here that if you know your partner has been in an extramarital union, or maybe you've even encouraged them to get into it, you know, nowadays the reality is that I know a lot of young people listen to this. A lot of you are getting into open marriages. You're opening your marriages up. You cannot one day come and say that, oh, my wife has been sleeping with this guy. Yet you opened up the marriage and you agreed we're going to be having other people in this. The court has actually held where the other spouse was actively pushing, okay, their spouse into getting into a extramarital affair with someone else or into getting into a sexual relationship with someone else. You cannot come to court and then claim that they were adulterous. Tuko pamoja? Yes. So that's adultery. Number 2, we talk about cruelty. And cruelty can be mental or physical, and it is inflicted by the other party on the petitioner. The petitioner in this case would be the person who's going to court to dissolve the marriage, or on the children. So in this case, we talk about cruelty. We're talking about cruelty on your spouse, but also on your children, where there are children. But also, when you talk about cruelty, remember, mental cruelty also applies, where you become a source of stress to your spouse. You are stressing them. You're just making life very difficult for them. Unasumbua kabisa. Here, we're also talking about abuse. If you're beating up your wife or your husband, if you're physically abusive, if you're mentally abusive, this comes under cruelty, where your behavior can be described as cruel behavior. Then that becomes a ground for that marriage to be dissolved. The third ground is desertion, okay? And in desertion, we are saying where either party, let's say your husband or your wife, they get out of the home and they leave. You cannot get to them. You've tried to look for them or patikani. Then you can go to court and file for divorce. But there are timelines. If you've been married in a Christian marriage, it's 3 years. So within 3 years, if your partner cannot be found, they have left the home, they have refused to come, you've tried always to get reconnect, they've refused, then if 3 years have passed, you can have that marriage dissolved. However, if you're in a civil marriage and that your spouse has deserted the home, they've left the matrimonial home for 2 years, then you can file for divorce. That's desertion. Now, we have also another ground which we call exceptional depravity. One of the cases I've come across when dealing with exceptional depravity is, for instance, where your partner is now asking you to do things that, though you're in a sexual union, they're asking you to do things that are, in your opinion, or even in the opinion of the law, they amount to depravity. For instance, sodomy has been one of those things. We've had cases where a wife goes to court and says, this man wants to have anal sex with me, all right? That is considered depravity, and it can actually be a ground for the dissolution of that marriage. And of course, the important thing to note here is that the other party has to refuse to whatever is being suggested. So you cannot say yes to it and then come and say this was being done, okay? So it has to be that this is what has been put on the table and I have said no to it. So depravity also deals with sexual acts that perhaps could be considered, this is not normal for people to do. And one of the questions that has been there has been, how does a court then deal with people who are involved in BDSM? They're in bondage, they're in sadomasochism, where you've agreed you're going to beat each other with whips. That's part of your sexual experience and how you enjoy sex. It would only be an issue where the other party was completely against it and yet they were being forced into it. So we talk about exceptional depravity. The other ground is irretrievable breakdown of the marriage. And the reason we have this as a ground is because sometimes the marriage has just broken down. No one was adulterous, no one was cruel, no one has been deserted, there has been no exceptional depravity, but things are just not happening, okay? And the court will actually allow irretrievable breakdown of the marriage because the parties just have to come and say, the petitioner comes and says, this marriage is not working. We've tried this, we've tried that. It is not working. The marriage has irretrievably broken down. And when that happens, then the court is able to grant you your divorce. Let's take a music break. When we come back, we're going to be talking about what is the burden of proof. And you talk about the burden of proof is, what does the court require you to show as sufficient proof for your divorce to be granted? And I think the other thing as well, because remember I was talking about a Christian marriage. One other thing could be, as a ground, is imprisonment of more than 7 years, where your spouse receives a life sentence or prison sentence for more than 7 years. Does this mean that you can actually go ahead and divorce them? Yes, you can actually go ahead and divorce them if they've been in prison for that period or if they receive a life sentence. Another ground we've seen as well has been venereal diseases. So let's say your spouse gives you, or maybe they suffer from HIV, herpes, or HPV, and this was not disclosed prior to the marriage. And one of the challenges with this has been, you'll remember that it's still a requirement that, let's say, for those of you who've probably done church weddings, the church requires that you come with your HIV results, because when it comes to venereal diseases, you have to disclose to your spouse before the marriage has happened, okay, that I have HIV, and they have to agree to marry you knowing you have HIV. If they discover this post-marriage, then they have a ground to actually proceed with the divorce. The other thing as well is a presumption of death. What happens when your spouse is missing for many years? You've never heard from them. You don't know where they are. Under the law, we say that if someone has been missing for 7 years or more, then they are presumed dead. And on that basis, you can apply for a divorce. Now, when it comes to Hindu marriages, if one of the parties converts to another religion, they used to be Hindu and now maybe they've become Christian, then that is a legitimate reason for the other spouse to file for divorce. So this only applies under Hindu. Then there's also the question of incurable insanity. If the spouse is suffering from incurable insanity, it can be considered grounds for divorce in Kenya. All right? So the person is insane, they've lost their capacity. You can actually file a petition for that. Now, when we come back, we're talking about what is a proof. What is a proof that you actually need to convince the court to grant you the divorce in your favor? Coming up, as we prepare for that, is Makadem. Makadem is a very old jazz artist in Kenya, and we're going to play his song Mogidi Kona Kona. Mogidi Kona Kona. Have you heard Mogidi Kona Kona? This is Mogidi Kona Kona by Makadem. Let's go.
Your kind of music, all day, all night, right here on your only station, Power Radio.
Ahero werne pinya, ahero werno ganda. Tukendo kaja tero kaja juok alanga. Akelo bere pinya, akelo ber edala. Anyola chikiti, anyola yauna pachi. Parapanda yuak pinyoru timage. Toera wero, lumja ber kanyako. Ori ori omogiti kona kona. We go dance together, do the train we go round. Ori ori omogiti kona kona. Now you see something, now you don't see nothing. Why you wondering, why you feeling cornered? You know what goes around comes around, my brother. What is going up must come down, my sister. Together we will stand divided, we shall fall. Yes. My land, my treasure, my people and my culture. Tabenganya titi chakacha dance oh hangla. Are you feeling free? Are you feeling aire? Ero ero ero, thumja ber kanyako. Ori ori omogiti kona kona. We go dance together, do the train we go round. Ori ori omogiti kona kona. Kipanda njugu mavuno ni karanga. Ule hapo chuki malipo matanga. Palipo na huba tamu kurambaramba. Wakati umefika siku za songa songa. Tujirushe rushe na kusakata rumba. Ero era ero thumja ber kanyako. Ori ori omogiti kona kona. We go dance together, do the train we go round. Ori ori omogiti kona kona. Ero era ero thumja ber kanyako. Ori ori omogiti kona kona. We go dance together, do man kanyakla. Hodi, 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 hodi. Kanungo. Kanungo. Kanyako. Kanyo, kanyo. Jaber kanyako. Ewiye kanyo. Kanyako. Kanyo, kanyo. Jaber kanyako. Kanyako. Jaber kanyako. Kanyako. Sukarina. Jaber kanyako. Kanyako. Jaber kanyako. Cheza naye, sema naye. Cheza naye. Kanyako. Kanyo, kanyo. Jaber kanyako. Sema naye. Cheka naye. Akilia, lia naye. Jaber kanyako. Kanyako. Are you feeling wewe? Jaber kanyako. Are you feeling wewe? Kanyako. Are you feeling wewe? Kanyako. Are you feeling wewe? Kanyako. Tiramos, tiramos, tiramos. Kanyako. Tiramos.
Dunia ina mambo bana, ukishangaa sana sana, tena sana sana. Hata mimi nashangaa bana. Ukiniona waniona na aibu sana, wase wangu kwa mtaa wanawika bana. Siku hizi naogopa kuomba Bwana, juu hata mfuko za wakora za imba hosana. Walinipa uongo nami nikakubali, nikamfuata nyuki nikalimwa na asali. Weka tumbo mbele, wacha kile nyuma. Mighty Cavaliers walisema sikusikiza. Oh,
baba na mama walinigusia, ewe kijana, kuwa mwanangu jione, dunia ina mambo yao sikuyasikiza. Sasa mimi najuta, kweli najionea, dunia ina mambo. Dunia ina mambo, dunia ina mambo,
dunia ina mambo bana.
dunia ina mambo, dunia ina mambo,
Dunia ina mambo sana.
dunia ina mambo, dunia ina mambo,
Dunia ina mambo bana.
dunia ina mambo, dunia ina mambo.
Nafunga bao, nitapita dao. Ubaya binadamu ni rahisi kusahau. Changu ni chetu lakini chako ni chako. Mtu wangu wacha vako. Marafiki wamekuwa manafiki bana. Najionea tena kushangaa sana. Niliacha kuwa mjinga ati sasa najiringa. Stajabu ya Musa ya Firauni bado.
Walinambia kijana, jihadhari na ulimwengu. Hao walimwengu si wazuri kwako kijana, yao sikuyasikiza. Sasa mimi najuta, kweli najionea, dunia ina mambo. Dunia ina mambo, dunia ina mambo,
Dunia ina mambo bana.
dunia ina mambo, dunia ina mambo,
Dunia ina mambo sana.
dunia ina mambo, dunia ina mambo,
Dunia ina mambo bana.
dunia ina mambo, dunia ina mambo, dunia ina mambo. Ukiwa nao leo, marafiki ni wengi sana, watakusifu wewe kijana mzuri. Dunia ina mambo, dunia ina mambo. Ukiwa hunao, wengi wanakukimbia na mengi kusema, wewe kijana mbaya. Dunia ina mambo, dunia ina mambo, dunia ina mambo.
Yeah, that's Dunia in a Mambo by Just a Band. And of course, before that, as I had told you, we had Mogidi Kona Kona by Macadam. And it's fantastic because the song Macadam, you could say it's almost like the song is sampled rather. Is a Kikuyu song, and Macadam is an artist who also sings in the Luo. So it's just a fantastic show of how in Kenya, artists have been able to just move across and overcome those barriers that ideally we are unable to overcome during elections, you know? But that's a story for another day. We're talking about divorce in Kenya, and we've talked about some of the grounds for divorce in Kenya. Now, one of the things you need to discover is that when it comes to divorcing in Kenya, you have two forms of divorce processes. The first one is a contested divorce. When we talk about contested divorce, here we say that the spouses cannot agree on one or more aspects of their separation. And this could be division of property, child custody, alimony, or other critical matters, even the fact that there should be a divorce. So that amounts to a contested divorce, okay? That means there's a fight in there. On the other hand, you could have what we call an uncontested divorce, which arises when the spouses agree mutually on all the terms of their separation, even including division of assets, parenting responsibilities, financial arrangements. So here, because the court really does not have a dispute to resolve, it's a quicker process, it's less stressful, and it's more cost effective. The couples go and they say, yeah, me, I'm filing for divorce, and that person says, I'm not opposed to it. The court issues it. Na hiyo maneno imeisha. Papo, hapo. So anyway, what does the process look like for divorce in Kenya, in case you're ever thinking of going down this path? The first thing is you have to file a divorce petition. And as we said, divorce petitions are filed in court, all right? So you file your divorce petition in court, and here, if you are represented by an advocate, if you have a lawyer who's representing you, they are ordinarily the ones who handle the preparation and submission of the court documents. We call them pleadings. They submit these court documents to the court. Then there's a notice that you have to send to your spouse, okay, the other spouse. It's called a notice to appear. And they're required to appear within 14 days, whether or not they contest the divorce. The second step after that will be the response by the respondent. Now you stop being husband and wife. You become petitioner and respondent. Once they've been served with the divorce petition, the other spouse has 14 days to file their response, and they may choose to either agree to the divorce or to contest the grounds for divorce by filing a defense or a response to the petition. If they do not respond within the time provided by the court, then the court can easily go ahead and decide the case based only on the petitioner's evidence. The third step will be after the petition is filed and responses are submitted, the next step is for your lawyer as a petitioner, or for you as a petitioner, to request the court to issue you with a registrar's certificate. And the purpose of this certificate is that it indicates that the case is ready for a hearing and that the court has reviewed all the documents that have been filed or the pleadings that has been filed. After the registrar's certificate has been issued, you now proceed to the hearing. And during the hearing, both of the parties, the spouses, they're required to present their evidence and to call their witnesses in support of their cases. And here is where you remember I was talking about what is the burden of proof. Generally, in court, the person, we say that he who alleges must prove. If you're going to say that a certain set of facts exists, or this person did something, did this and that, then you're required under the law to provide evidence for that. If you cannot provide evidence for it, then it will, what will happen is that the court will say you have not discharged your burden of proof. So if you're going to talk about, let's say, something like cruelty, if you're going to talk about infidelity, adultery, you're required under the law to provide evidence for that. This will happen at the hearing stage. After the hearing has been done, the court will set a judgment date, which is typically within a 21-day period. And during the judgment, the court will decide whether have you met the ground, okay? Are there sufficient grounds that exist for the divorce to be granted? If it is a question of desertion, Have you proved that this person has been away from you for 3 years in case of a Christian marriage or 2 years in case of a civil marriage? Once the court decides that yes, sufficient grounds have been issued, then it issues what we call a decree nisi. And the decree nisi is the first stage in the dissolution of the marriage. And it signifies that the court has granted the divorce, but it allows a 30-day window for either party to reconsider their decision or to raise objections. However, on the other hand, if the court finds that you did not satisfy the grounds for grant of a divorce, then your petition is thrown out and the divorce is not granted. Okay? Now you have the decree nisi. 30 days have passed. If no objections are raised within those 30 days, then you can request the court to issue you with a decree absolute. And the decree absolute finalizes the divorce and officially dissolves the marriage. The decree absolute is a final legal document that confirms the end of the marital relationship. Now, of course, this show, we're a legal show, and we always advise that at all times, you have to ensure that you get legal advice. You get good legal advice so that you're guided on what are the necessary steps to take as you look to end the marriage, as you look to be granted a divorce. Tuko pamoja? Tuko pamoja. Now let's get Kipepeo by Shamsi Music, followed by Rafiki by Nina Ogot. This is jazz, the Kenyan way. Come for the jazz, stay for the law. This is Sheria Dive.
Power Radio. Tune in and power up. Your kind of music, all day, all night, right here on your only station, Power Radio.
rafiki wangu wa milele. Wewe ni rafiki, mchumba wangu wa milele. Wewe ni rafiki, oh, rafiki wangu wa milele. Wewe ni rafiki. Maisha ikibadilika, wewe ni rafiki, na sisi tukibadilika, oh, wewe ni rafiki. Maisha ikinichanganyisha, wewe ni rafiki, oh, na mambo ikiwa sawa sawa, wewe ni rafiki. Yeah mama eh, 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 yeah mama eh. Dunia ikibadilika, wewe ni rafiki, na sisi tukibadilika, oh, wewe ni rafiki. Maisha ikinichanganyisha, wewe ni rafiki, oh, na mambo ikiwa sawa sawa, wewe ni rafiki. Yeah mama eh, 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 yeah mama eh.
Yeah, Nina got right there. Bring us to almost the top of the hour. Remember, hey, this show is only for 1 hour, which means if you're still on your journey, you can actually look for these artists on Spotify and the rest of the on YouTube and the rest, just to try and keep in touch with Kenyan jazz, the sound of Kenyan jazz. Ladies and gentlemen, it's been nice to spend the 1 hour with you. We're talking about divorce today, and I hope I've helped you understand the grounds for divorce and the process for divorce and how long that ordinarily should take. You know what I'm going to do one of these fine days? I'm going to invite a divorce lawyer here. I know a very good divorce lawyer, and I'm going to invite her just so that we can ask her a few more questions about processes and some of those intricacies, things that happen that perhaps you may never get to hear about or to learn about, so that at the end of the day, you're able to make a decision that is for your good and a decision that is able to benefit you. From here in studio, from Flozy and I, it's to say kwaheri sana, be safe out there, and make sure that you stay away from the floods in that rainy season in Nairobi. So make sure that you're safe wherever you are. See you back here on Thursday between 5 and 7 p.m. as we'll be talking more legal right here on Sheria Dive on Power Radio.
Power Radio. Tune in and power up. From sunrise to sunset, all day